everyone, it's Jess and I'm here to share an album flip through with you all. This is gonna be a difficult video to film because my camera's not in the same position as it was before. Let me just get this cord out of the way. It's for my microphone. So I am gonna have to slide the album back and forth. Not ideal, but we can make it work. So this album is actually the gift album that I made for the UK trips that we went on. And I have to, it is a gift, so I need to get this filmed and this wrapped up again. So this is the title page. I used a Paige Evans cut file for it and just a picture from the airport from one of the trips. So this is a double page. There is a process video for this. It has 5 4x6 photos on it. I'm really sorry. I literally can't push it over anymore because my tripod is there. And it's just not gonna work. Let me move my coffee out of the way so it doesn't spill. Okay. I can't, that's as far as I can put it over. But yeah. So this is double page spread. Unfortunately, the next few layouts are all double page spreads, but there are process videos for them all. Oh, and I wasn't correct. This is not a double page spread. Let me see. Oh, okay. There we go. I'll just hold this. So this is a layout of the London Eye. I stamped and cut out these letters by hand because I didn't have dies for this particular alphabet stamp. I don't think they have them for this, that's why I don't have them. But yeah, super simple layout. It is using photos that go 2 different directions. So there's a portrait and a landscape. But other than that, really, really simple. Single page layout using a super old cut file that I cut out, I don't even know, probably like a year or 2 ago, and have just never used it. I covered it in Versamark and gold heat embossed it. There is a pull-out tag here with the journaling, which also has a portion of that same cut file. This is a double page spread. I'm fairly certain this is either a page map sketch or a I can't remember. Oh, I was just making sure my camera wouldn't zoom out anymore. Or a, I think it's a page map sketch. It's either that or I just made it up on my own, which is unlikely. This is a layout from the back of a Simple Stories packaging. There is a process video for this layout. I actually just edited it yesterday, so that definitely will exist when this goes live. This is another double page layout. This is a page map sketch. It's not my favorite. It has this panel over here and then 4 4x4 photos in the middle. Yeah, not my favorite, but it works. Okay, sorry, I had to go do something and I'm back now. So this is a layout. I actually really like how this layout turned out, and I'm sorry about the glare. I'm trying to angle it so that there's not as much glare on the page protector. I really like how this layout turned out. This is the view of the river from, like, standing on Tower Bridge. This layout here, there is not a process video for. So far for all of them, there has been, and there is for most of the layouts in this album, I think. There's not for this one. This is Harry Potter Studios. I just chose a couple photos to represent the fact that, you know, we did go there on this trip. But this is the only page in the album. Buckingham Palace. There's definitely a process video for this layout. This is one of 2 monochromatic layouts in my album. So this one is all pink because it goes opposite this page, which is purple. Well, purple and green, and I guess navy. A bit of navy there. But this is Westminster Abbey. Again, very simple, 2 photos. You know, I tried to keep this album really easy because I didn't want a lot of, how do I explain this? I didn't want to experiment too much in this album because it was a gift. That's what I mean. Really simple single page photo. There weren't a lot of pictures of him. So whenever I had them, I tried to get them in the album. You will notice that in this album, I didn't use any alphabet stickers. I did allow myself to use word thickers. So this is a word thicker. I think it's a Jen Hadfield one. You'll also notice there are a lot of flare badges. That's because partway through making this album, I bought myself a flare maker. So then I started using them on like everything. Pretty much. This is a Paige Evans cut file. Very simple. I backed the cut file. I either purposely left these 2 areas in or I forgot about them and they drive me crazy. Anyways, aside from that, oh, this layout features some of my favorite enamel dots, which are matte enamel dots. I don't know how well they'll show up in camera, but they are matte and they're lovely and velvet and beautiful. Single page layout of the Diana Memorial Fountain. I think these are 3.5 by 5.5 inch photos. If I had to guess, that's what I'd say they are. Okay, the photo mat is 5.5 by 3.5. So the pictures are 5.25 by 3.25. This is one of my favorite layout designs to make. You tear the corners off of a pattern paper and then rough them up a little bit, or don't rough them up, and then you adhere this whole angular piece onto a background paper. You could try and figure out, like, you know, just cutting like a portion of this, but then you have to make sure that it's 12 by 12, and I have no shortage of pattern paper, so I find it easier to just tear the edges or the corners off one paper and adhere the whole thing to a full 12 by 12 sheet. Yeah. Lots of detail cutting on this layout of various things. When I started making this layout, I had intended on only using cardstock as my backgrounds, but I got bored of that. And it wasn't enjoyable for me. So there is a fair amount of cardstock backgrounds in this album. This one is on craft. There are lots that are white, craft. Yeah. So there's lots of cardstock in this album. This is one of the first ones I made, so it is solely using that Simple Stories Save Travels collection. Most of the other layouts mix other collections in. This is kind of a 2-page spread. They definitely like coordinate with each other. Because they're kind of the same thing, like they're of, this is Trafalgar Square, and then these are just like random photos from out and about London, like the red phone booth and standing at the river. So I made it so that they matched. They both have like, this one is more of a blue and this is more of a teal, but this paper is the same. And then they both have navy on them as well. So they do match. They share a lot of the similar elements. Circle labels, flare badges, etc. I just realized I didn't journal on this layout, but yeah. You'll notice that there's a lot of the Nicole Jones 911 digital files on in this album, including some of the flare. The flare I made from her printables as well. Okay. Oh, sorry. Oh. I haven't done my morning sneezing yet, so that's what that's from. But yeah, really simple layout. This is a grid design. I don't do grid designs very often. This was made using a Simple Stories page template. I'm pretty sure, because those margins look like they're margins. I don't think I would leave them that thick if I was just doing it on my own. So, oh, sorry. Now my nose is running because I sneezed. The other thing I used a lot in this album were these alphabet printables. I didn't use letter stickers anywhere in this album, but I did use a lot of printables. Very simple layout. This is actually the same design as this one. I really liked it when I made it the first time, so I remade it again using different pattern papers and slightly different paper configuration. I was using 6x8 pattern papers on here, so it's not as tall as the other page, but it's definitely still the same layout format, I guess. This layout that I made presented me with a problem. So for this album, I was using a single collection and I drew the colors from that collection. My plan was that I was going to keep all of the oh my goodness, all of the color scheme was going to be consistent from the beginning to the end of the album. So I wasn't including purple and pink in that. Well, then I got making a layout. I cut out this cut file. It was really pretty. I loved it. Made this layout, and then I was like, oh, it's purple. Well, now what? I can't have a single purple layout in an album that's all blue, orange, red. So I had to go back and add in another layout that had purple on it. And then I added a couple more that had pink on them to make it feel less awkward. This is the second monochromatic layout in this book. This is based on a sketch by Nicole Jones. I made a lot of the layouts in this album when I was doing a virtual crop with her. So that's where this came from. I used her sketch and her printables. These are all her printables except for the 2 flare badges, which I made. And I also used a monochromatic color scheme because she does that a lot. So this is a very Nicole Jones layout. And then we go to something completely different. This layout I made, I mean, nobody else is really going to understand this. unless I tell them. But this was spring. This was May in Scotland. It was really cold. It was raining. If it probably could have been snowing. It was so cold. Like, it was very cold. So it was spring, and I decided to go with a fall color palette because it felt very autumnal, and I thought it was funny to use a layout that's very much like, I called it Spring on the Royal Mile, because I wanted to really point out that, like, this is Scotland in the spring. It rains, it's cold. And it wasn't early spring. Well, it was kind of early spring. It was May, but it was funny. So I did that. Again, more flare badges. There's a lot of them in this album. And then we get to a very different feeling layout. This is Edinburgh Castle. Again, I was trying to add in more pinks. So I paired the pink with teal and navy and yellow, which is probably one of my most used color combinations. I used viewfinders, printable hearts, flowers, all Nicole Jones 901, and then I added in some word stickers and some, those are gems, they are not enamel dots. This is the same font that I used earlier in the album, and I cut it out then, but I just left it on its own now. Another grid layout. This is for Rosslyn Chapel. I had lots of pictures for it, but only a single page to make the layout in because I had the album planned at this point. Yeah. These are also Nicole Jones 911 alpha printables. And I punched them out using this. It's a 3/8 inch circle punch. So it punches really, 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 really tiny. But it's perfect for these. For those circles. Yeah, more cardstock. There is cardstock in this layout too, it's just in the background. More cardstock, blue and yellow color scheme, more printables from Nicole Jones. Yeah, everything very much on, you know, standard for the album. Now we get to this layout. I don't actually like how this layout turned out, but I made it. I had the pictures down and I didn't want to pull it apart. So, I just don't really like the combination of these really bright papers with these really dark photos, I think is the issue. But at the time I was thinking these photos are really dark. I should put something with them that's bright and cheerful. It didn't work out as well as I'd hoped, but that's okay. This is, one of these is, I think this is Ben Nevis here, this mountain. You can't see the top of it because it's cloudy. It's almost always cloudy at the top of Ben Nevis. I've seen it once where it wasn't cloudy. My Highland cows. I think this is one of the last layouts that I made for this album. I used green because the facing page had green and navy on it, and I did use a stripe of that rainbow diagonal stripe paper. Yeah, and then I added some orange and some brown. Oh, sorry, that just came out of nowhere. Some orange and brown to match my beloved Highland cattle. I love them. This is the last of the double page layouts. This is Liverpool in England. I had a lot of photos, so This might have been a sketch, actually. I feel like it was a sketch. I think it was a page map sketch. I don't remember which one, but I'm fairly certain that it was a page map. Either Page Maps or Scrapbook Generation. I am not positive, but I think it's Page Maps. Again, more cardstock, more Gold Mist. Yeah. This was one of the first pages that I made for this album. It actually might have been the first page that I made. I think it was. And I wanted to do something different. So I took 6x8 paper and I cut it into, I'm going to guess, 1-inch strips. And I cut one of them, the green ones, a bit shorter. So they would like wiggle, I guess. Zigzag? I'm not sure. But on the layout. Lots of cardstock, dark blue cardstock, craft cardstock. I made these with a die set and I layered them up, which takes forever, but I did it. I did it a couple places in this album. And then the printable letters. No other printables on this layout though. This was before I started using them heavily in this album. Yes. And then I got to the end of towards the end of the album and I was like, there's a lot of cut files in the beginning of this album. So I think I actually welded these letters together. It's a font that I found on dafont.com. I don't know what it's called. I'm just trying to remember. I'm pretty sure I welded them together and then created an offset layer for them. It's probably in Silhouette because my Silhouette was still working then. It has since stopped working and I purchased a Cricut. / my husband got me a Cricut for my birthday. But yeah. This butterfly I inked myself to color it in. It was black and white. I inked it with Distress Inks or Gina K inks or a combination thereof. I'm not sure. Yeah, this is one of my go-to layout designs. It is a design that I got from Chamel. It's very simple. It uses 2 portrait 4x6 photos, a block of paper, and then it's all offset on a piece of cardstock or pattern paper, but I use cardstock. The last page in the album is Greenwich. This is from the Greenwich. I guess it's really just all about the observatory. This is the Prime Meridian. If you go there, that's where Greenwich Mean Time is. It's basically here. It's actually off a little bit, but this is the original one. And the observatory, so this is up at the observatory. This is at the bottom of the hill looking up at the observatory. So you can see the big steep path that you need to walk up to get up to the top. There is a less steep way of getting up there, but we did not take it, of course. And then little itty bitty tiny, I don't know if you can see how tiny he is. There's one up here too. Little itty bitty tiny owl, printable from Nicole Jones, viewfinders, labels, very on par for this album. And that is the whole album, start to finish. I do have it in a Close to My Heart album with Close to My Heart page protectors. So that is everything from this album. Thank you for joining me and watching this album flip through. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all again soon. Bye.